After confronting members of the cult of elemental evil in the forest, our heroes took the false druid to the Count of Avendrad for punishment. It was there that they learned Canon Basil was only a stand-in for the true Canon, who is undercover in Gask and likely trying to uncover the same evils as our heroes. They were invited to meet with her, but the party was fresh from battle and required rest. It was agreed that the party would rest at the Horned Raven Inn and meet the next morning to discuss their next move. However, when Nolame woke, Zaid and Wolfrun had already left to scout out the Ibindu forest to save the party some time and to let them recover thoroughly. Not one to pass up an opportunity, Nolame and Doris decided to use this extra time to slip into the Academy of Natural Philosophy, Calter's home, to arm himself with knowledge for the upcoming journey. In the Academy of Natural Philosophy, Nolame made his way to the language section of the library. While it is a repository of teaching materials for students at the exclusive academy, most of the bookshelves are operated by eunuchs, who act as stewards and key holders that grant access to large cages. Not surprisingly, the Orcish language book that Nolame intended to study was currently being copied in the scriptorium. Sweating ambassadors and scholars take notes while reading over the scribe's shoulders. Nolame paused to take stock of the disparate population of scribes, keeping an eye out for individuals that might not appear to be members of the academy. Sons and daughters of the nobility make up the bulk of the visiting students who are being tutored by the staff here, as well as many young members of the clergy. The halfling in particular seems an oddity, almost appearing like a child at first from the back. No one knows where halflings come from around here, but it's definitely not around these parts. There is also an Irudin speaking to an instructor at the other end of the room. On his way through the corridors, Nolame noticed a man with a strange living organism atop his head amidst a small crowd of students. Ultimately, Nolame decided to approach the Irudin and the instructor at the end of the hall. The conversation between them stops abruptly. It might just be his swollen features, but the man at the desk seemed thankful for an end to the conversation. The Irudin turned, wearing pure white robes, touched with green and gold, and a hood over his conical head. "What is it, Bug? You know that rumors of Irudin sightings generally follow the disappearances of prominent wizards. Little is known of Monarchia, but superstitious men say that they persuade wizards across Immaculus to join them one way or another. Seeing one is a once-in-a-lifetime event."
Forgive my surprise. Small creatures are unused to any but those of their own size addressing them. What could one of your stature find need of here, so far from your far shores?
"You see? Signs of intelligent life. There's an ill-kept secret that someone has stumbled onto a bit of magic in the region, though by any scrying, they can't control it."
What makes you think that these happenings aren't being controlled?
There are patterns to these things, little Bug. It is quite unlike humans to destroy so much so suddenly.
I can only assume patterns become easier to see from a greater height. From the dirt, only the actions of other bugs make sense, since what else would be interested enough in them to disturb their short, blunted lives? Even the pattern maker Ankator does not so directly intervene in the weaving of things, so what other higher being would be interested in such? But as I say, bugs tend to only think other bugs would find their tunnelings of interest.
Who are you?
A bastard. An unexpected stain on the fabric. A note played out of cord. Or so I've been told since I was young. But I have a name, if that is your interest, bug-born though it is.
We are all bastards. Of men, it would seem. Unless your name is Noros, or Olmruga, then I do not care to hear it. Though I will tell you this, you do have some spark of something about you. If you find any mysterious gemstones in the forest, or perhaps a gargoyle statue, do come find me. I'll be around for 3 or so days.
Who better to find something fallen to the earth than one so close to it? I shall be sure to keep a special eye out.
With their conversation concluded, a mysterious Irudin walks away to another wing of the academy.
So, How are you on this fine day, my good man?
Uh, Better now that the riddles are done with. He's been here all morning. I really should thank you, Master Elf. So, here to enroll?
If only my time was my own coin to spend these days. I'm on business from the Count. Plus, it seems as though you have quite the diverse set of enrollees already. I never expected a halfling to pop up studying at the academy.
Watch your pockets around that one. Never heard of a halfling that didn't have his hands on someone's purse one way or another. And I beg you, Master Elf, don't go sniffing around the forests. It's far too dangerous. We've sent one of our brightest students who might well be on his way to becoming a wizard one day to find out more about this nonsense that's been going around town. To more directly answer your question, yes, we're the most austere academy this side of the Black Mountains. If we can end this trouble, it might put the name of this town on the lips of people as far as Featherstone. Who knows?
If knowledge is indeed power, then from the looks of your shelves here, you are well equipped to meet this challenge. Although, approaching things from different angles may help come to a solution faster, synthesizing separate ideas and such. Which brings me back to the task that has led me here this morning. The Count has come across some new information that might present a possible additional avenue of investigation. I just need to make some cross-references that can confirm whether this new lead will pan out. So, would I be able to take a look at just a few of the works that you have stored here?
Of course, I just need to see an official writ from the Count's offices, and I'll notarize it. What are you looking for, Master Elf?
I would need any materials in original High Runarch pertaining to the life of the saint. I'd also need a simplified set of common orc phrases and customs, at least one compendium of the early life of the immortal High King, and as well as any references you might have in original Draconic.
Our best source on Orcish is being transcribed, but one of the copies should be done. Just be sure not to leave this place without any of those. As far as Draconic, it's a heavily theory-based area of knowledge, unfortunately. Well, you might find out more from the tomes about St. Garrett, but it's open to you. Is the Count going to go find the dragon?
Every man of worth I've met over the past 70 years has, at some point in his life, truly believed he would find his dragon. But the wise ones realized that it's always safer to first find the words of a dragon before meeting the mouth of a dragon. Fortunately, I bring a fair stock of those ancient words with me wherever I go, although I do prefer local references when you're dealing with dragonfire. Perhaps when I have some of that precious coin called time to spend, I could offer your academy a scroll or two of common draconic phrases to really begin your collection.
Well, Master Bindoris, I am certain our prefects would happily accept such a generous donation. I do very much hope that you find what you're looking for. With the primer on the draconic language in hand, Nolame left the academy to return to his friends. But on his way back, he's met by a feathery friend, a raven, with a note in its talons. It circles him several times, squawking intelligently, before landing on his shoulder. It seems pacified. It croaks a deep thrum, and then settles on your arm.
I gently stroke the feathers on its head for a few seconds before reaching down and taking off the attached letter. And after I finish taking off the letter, I say, "Thank you for your help."
It looks at you peevishly.
If I had any food or raven treats on me, I would have most certainly given you some. Well, actually, let me dig in my pack. I do have some rations. Let's see if there's something in here this bird would like. Just says daily rations, so I'm just going to assume that I would find something in there that a raven might find at least somewhat enjoyable to eat.
Very well. You take out some dried meat, and it takes it in its beak and flies away instantly.
Yes, good bird jerky. Secretly giving the bird another bird to eat.
God.
It's a raven, it doesn't mind.
That's kind of part of what they eat.
Yeah, they're little bastard birds.
It was his wife.
Fuck, alright, I wasn't gonna go that far.
Ravens mate for life, you animal.
Silence of the ravens.
If I'm taking notes, that's gonna be the first one there. Fed a raven jerky made from his raven wife.
Could you please read the letter out loud?
Nolame, I hope this message is carried to you swiftly and with all due haste. Wolfrun and I have uncovered a grand temple complex within the Ibindu swamps, likely swarming with more cultists we have tangled with. We've encountered a small fellowship of mercenaries, soldiers, and explorers whom we have joined forces with to rout this threat. If you are able, please head to the location marked in this map of the swamps and forests to our encampment upon the bridge-crossed rise. We will send out a small smoke signal at twilight to aid you in your approach. Your friend in arms, Zaid Azar, Knight Tutelar of the Piercing Star. And then I turn over the page and I find a detailed map of a path through swamps and what look like forests, clearly written in the marking style of Wolfrun.
So, but the question I would pose to you is, do you wish to prepare in any way before leaving?
There's a lot of information that needs to be exchanged with Keld, but that could end up with me getting holed up in a situation that could take a number of hours to get out of, and I don't want to miss this. But I need to at least drop some of the shit that I'm carrying off somewhere safe, because I'm really not liking the fact that I'm walking around with one of these cultist masks and, other items that they had on my person. So I think what I would do is just go to Cinders, see if he has any sort of information that could help me now, share a little bit of what I know, and then that would also serve as a quick opportunity to drop off some of the more suspicious items that are in my pack. And then after that, I'd either go there or... I feel like I've been really lucky not getting wounded so far, so part of me wants to try and sell some of this shit, like the crossbow, and get a healing potion or something. So yeah, I would probably just go to Cinders and try and get a little bit more updated information so I have a better sense of what I might be getting into. And then that'll also give me an opportunity to hopefully stash some of this stuff until later.
Very well.
So, off to Cinders.
Alright, you approach Cinder's tower to see the doors already open, and the man you seek speaking with two guards. Nolame, what brings you back here?
I've recently come back into town with some of my friends to find that they've found themselves engaged with something while I was resting. I was hoping to go ahead and have a word with you before I head back out into the wild again, since it seems like a foolish idea to just wander into this thing without really understanding what's going on.
He seems delighted, and looks to the guards. Would you please excuse us for a moment? To which one says, Alright, just make it quick. We'll be at a respectable distance. Come on, Lowen. Oh, yes, Sergeant. And they move off. He's like, have you had a chance to go into the forest and look for those ruins? I'm quite curious to see your progress.
Yes, actually. I've taken some interesting notes on the area. If we could go and sit inside, maybe, so I have some space to spread my notes out and show you some of the drawings I've taken of the area.
Of course, please, this way. And you said you wanted to store some things here, is that right?
So yeah, primary motives of being here is just to get any general sort of knowledge that might be useful before I head over there, and then to drop some things off. So I move over to the table, clear off a little bit of space, and then I pull out the map that I took off of the cultists, the cultist mask, and then the map that Wolfrun gave me. And then as I do, I look and see what Cinder's reaction to each item is as I take it out.
He slides his hand over his bald head and then holds his chin. I hadn't expected the ruins to be there. Interesting. I don't know what these X's mean exactly. It would seem that they're most active to the east and not to the south as I previously thought. These drawings you've made are, well, I hate to say it, not encouraging. In order for us to have our conversation that I deeply meant to have with you, I was looking for something a bit more ancient. Although, I had never thought to look in the Ibindu swamps before. Perhaps if you go there, you might find the ruins I was referring to.
Is there anything that I should know before heading down there? When we went into the forest, we thought that we were going to be encountering a druid, but we encountered these cultists from... Do you recognize this mask? Do you know anything about this organization?
Yes, I've seen one of them in town, actually. They made off with a few of my magical items, unfortunately, and I've hired a few of the town guard to keep a watch on my tower.
Are they the same guards every night?
I do not know. You would have to speak with the guard captain.
Hmm.
It is quite disturbing. I'm starting to think it might be time for a vacation, but our business precludes me from leaving, so I would urge you to hasten your efforts. Though I must warn you, we did fight a troll a few years back in the Ibundu, and it's known to be the most dangerous area in County Avon, so I would be very careful.
So, the last time that you found a troll in the swamp here, was there anything in particular about how you managed to go ahead and deal with it, or is this the same troll?
Oh yes, we killed it. It seemed to have regenerative properties, although we finally crushed it. That did it in, and then it was decapitated. We were exhausted after the effort.
Excellent. So, decapitating and crushing, two things that my rapier just excels at.
There hasn't been a troll here since then. Besides, I think one should be worried about the orcs to the north, if anything.
Well, since you're going to be here for a while, and I know that my friend said that they had met up with a group of mercenaries and soldiers in the area, but that could mean anything. So I have some things that it would be best if they weren't exactly found on my person for the moment, and I was hoping in this tower you might have a safe place or two for such things.
Well, this tower should be secure now that the guards are here, but I will do my utmost to protect them.
Okay. So then I take out the gloves that we also took off of the cultists, as well as a ring and an amulet and the two daggers.
Yes, he wraps them all into a ornate leather satchel and disappears momentarily down a trapdoor to a basement. A few minutes later, he emerges and says, "Well, I wish you luck, but again, I do stress urgency. I believe with all of this pandemonium erupting around the city, it might put our own efforts in jeopardy."
Yes, with how things have developed, it is probably wise that you have at least two guards around here, although a few more probably wouldn't hurt either. Anyway, if I manage to make it out of the forest once again, I'll be sure to stop by and maybe we can finally have that chat.
I look forward
And
to it, Nolome. But if you should fail, I'm worried that I won't be able to stop these people from getting to me, whatever it is they want, if not for my magical artifacts.
well, we'll have to discuss that whenever I get back. As you said, there's not much for it at the moment except to go ahead and try and get through this unexpected occurrence as quickly and safely as possible. And then after that, we can go ahead and plan for the more medium and long term.
Agreed. I bid you farewell and good luck.
Thank you as always.
Alright, is there anything else you want to do before you link up with your buds?
Nope, I think it's about time to go ahead and head on into the trolly, snaky, leechy swamp.
Yay.
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 Meanwhile, somewhere east of Avendrad.
The sky's clear, just as the spawn of Garrosh returns. You're lucky you return with blood on your hands, after so long from home. But come, things have changed here faster than we've expected. What news do you bring from the walls of the humans?
It is blood that should honor us both. The spiders infest a place called Avandrad. I have heard that they want a gargantula, the dying words of one of their own, before he and his men split under the weight of my axe.
Our tribe sacrificed much to leave Rachnia, yet still they bite at our heels. It is not the way of our tribe to hide. War Chief speaks of plans to dominate a tribe of goblins to the south, who have also mentioned a gargantula. If the spiders have their attention there, it might complicate matters. But all is not lost. War Chief can tell you more.
The Nardur Snake mentioned goblins. I think his name was Nigel. Nigel the Bald. Good fortune that he was so talkative before the honorable duel. The war chief Right.
Margarash, the tribes of this land begin to gather under the axe of a dark stranger. He sends his whelps here to know our position, ally or enemy. To secure our future here, we can subdue the Gargantula and the goblins, but risk conflict with the spiders, or agree to the arrangement with this Dark One, a risky freedom or a secured alliance, albeit under a foreigner. I would have your counsel, daughter of Gorosh. Few among us have walked among men. You've knowledge and a perspective we lack.
War Chief, the spiders are a clan of weaklings and cowards. They would sooner cut our throats in our sleep than face us head-on, let alone at even numbers. But even a flock of sheep are still sheep. I slaughtered 4 of them myself in what was supposed to be a battle over one's honor. Each of them died screaming. They will clamber for every advantage they can, and as much as I wish to whet my axe on their bones once more, I yearn for nothing but the future of our people. An alliance goes both ways, so I ask you, stranger, what must we give in return?
The world will be reordered, and the domination that mankind enjoys will wane with the dimming of the sun itself. Soon, a combined force of the inheritors of the world will march on a nearby keep. As soon as the world is changed, we will unleash you to take what is yours. Humanity will be extinguished, and the survivors will be altered. All your clan must do is march with us when called by the Dark One, our guide. This will require your people to set aside former grievances with other orc clans.
Do I need to repeat myself? Whatever is necessary to ensure our future, I will suffer the sight of weaker clans if it means we may one day reclaim Rachnia. But if they seek to slow us down or turn against us when we've won, then they will become part of the mountain of skulls and rivers of blood that herald our return.
So be it. Once Coulter and Nolame arrived and were caught up on the situation, select members of the party donned disguises that they looted from the battle in the Druid's Grove. Following a hooded figure inside, the party gathered in a side room to prepare. However, the strangers they had met in the swamps decided to return their prisoner to Avandrad, leaving our heroes to face the Temple of Elemental Evil alone.
All right, well, we're down good few number of hands, but up a wizard. That's something. How do we want to proceed?
Nolamai and I are still impersonating cultists, so perhaps we can go with the prisoner plan again?
I suppose the question is, if you want to skulk about the halls as far as you can before luring some folks back here first, or if you want to just all pile in as deep as we can all at once.
It's also not a bad plan. I could go out and get a lay of the hallway, at least. Any immediate entrances and exits. Where's Agilus, anyway?
When you last saw Agilus, he and Bix were in the closet behind you. They said they would busy themselves with organizing what they could find in there. They've been only in there for a few minutes.
Well, if there's not any other matters to cover, should we take another look around this room and then Wolfern see if you want to start your way down?
And get our bearings, at least. Yes. See if there's anything in this room that could be useful to us.
The lit candle was one of your own, Zaid, although the holder seemed to be forgotten there, rusted with age. Most of these boxes are holding rotten food supplies. One had a bunch of dead rats in it. There also seems to be evidence of neglect, like that root system kind of pushed its way through here. It seems rather bare bones. The air is kind of heavy still and dank in this dark room. Wolfron, though, you approach that barrel and a viscous, strange liquid that you can't really make out, with a powerful foreign stench, is about halfway full of that barrel.
Ugh. Wizard, can you identify what this is?
Of course, allow me.
You stick your head over it, and instantly you smell the familiar aroma of some sort of animal oil. Like, it smells like almost fatty as well, like whale blubber or something like that.
You can see the sheen over some kind of oily substance rendered from an animal.
Oh, does it look flammable?
I'm going to step back before we find out.
Well, we could create a bit of a trap. Might be able to position that barrel near the door and take this candle, and then 1 + 1 is 11.
Sounds familiar as a plan, but I'm not opposed to it.
Nolame, in the box you investigated, you see a white powder with white rocks at the bottom, as well as a sack of something. It's not crack. You instantly recognize it as the ingredients to make quick lime.
It looks like I found some materials that would help them shore up the walls. I don't know what we could be using that for, given our purposes.
With our luck as of late, I would probably move the barrel closer to the door.
Very well, then with your mighty strength, you position the barrel of strange oil next to the door. There was a individual, I should tell everyone this, a cultist in black and kind of red trimming robes, who said he was part of the red corridor, and he escorted them in and then left. So he's somewhere else in the dungeon now. But he only left a few minutes ago.
I'm going to go get an idea of where we are in the compound at least, or at least our nearby surroundings. If you hear me yell, wait for me to come through the door before you combust this liquid, please.
Then Wolfrun, do you open the door?
I do.
Mother of God. I'm slowly getting used to this thing. Okay, so you slowly press open the door. A few rocks kind of make some scratching noises that carry on deeper into the dungeon. Down the corridor to the west, you see where you came in, the entrance. There's a lit brazier, and that hallway that had all those statues in it. It strangely reminded you of your own people. To the right, there is a pile of rocks. For now, it seems you're alone.
What does this tablet say?
As you approach the tablet, you can make out some contemporary graffiti painted over carelessly of strange runes. It looks like a mix between Common, the swirly alphabet, and Deep Speech. You can't really make out what it said, but there is some imagery. In the carvings, next to the strange runes, you see vague impressions of heroic figures.
So this probably was not always a temple of evil. It's a corrupted temple.
The
Noted.
paint over it is swirling reds and blacks, depicting tragedies, natural disasters, more in keeping with what you found, kind of carved onto those wooden pillars in that glade.
I'm going to see what I can find to the east. Slowly walking along this corridor, keeping my eyes both to the floor and to the walls, as well as glancing towards the ceiling occasionally.
Everything seems quiet. This side of this level seems more ignored than others, especially with the loose debris and bricks. It seems they stopped trying to repair this place ages ago. To your left, it seems mostly clear except for 1 or 2 loose bricks.
Head back to the room. Well, it would seem we're stuck between the entrance and a dead end.
So there's no deeper way in?
Well, there has to be. I just don't know where it is yet.
Have we been able to check into the room that Blix is holed up in? Maybe there's another way around the blockage.
That is exactly what I was thinking.
The heavy door to what they described as a closet is shut, but it seems unlocked. It's thick enough to muffle any noise coming from within. You cannot hear anything.
I knock gently on it and say, "Are you two clothed in there?"
The knock seems to carry, and soon the door swings open. You are greeted by Bix or Blix or whatever, who kind of regards you with a stern scowl. His favorite expression, it would seem. He scratches his bald pate with his strange Wolverine predator claws, and then motions you to follow him in. We haven't found much. Seems this place was mostly abandoned some time ago. If you want to get creative, I suppose we could fashion something in here. Or we could use this as a little bit of a base camp, I suppose. Agilus nods at you. They both seem quiet, tense.
There's no way through this area, is there?
Oh, you mean this room? No, I don't think there is. Seems just like a normal closet, to my eye anyway.
They seem to have given up searching for things only moments ago.
So what's the plan?
I'll assist him.
We need to find a way deeper into this temple. I didn't want to have to go back the way to the entrance, but there doesn't seem to be any other way through.
Bix and Agilus turn, regarding Coulter with suspicious squints.
Oh, that's the wizard, isn't it?
Yes, he finally caught up with us. Coulter, this is Blix and Augilus Cakehammer.
Well met to both of you. I did not mean to disturb your explorations.
No, feel free to join us.
Adding my keen eye to your observations, if I may.
The dwarf shrugs at you, but first says,
Agilus Keghammer, at your service.
And then he bows, his beard sweeping the floor. And the bald one, who's wearing kind of rusted, spiked, golden armor, seems to regard you with a little bit more interest than the dwarf. Well met. Yes, come here, the eyes of a wizard might serve us better.
Be happy to help, and well met to both of you, and I bow in return.
They kind of stand off to one side. Your eye catches the play of the flame against two brass vessels on the shelves. One clearly labeled Elixir of Health. The other seems to be some sort of container and kit for incense. You also see an array of food. There's also barrels in the distance, and in the neglect of this room, it seems spiders have had the run of the place.
I step cautiously, and I just sort of, as I'm peering around, my eyes see that labeled concoction that said Elixir of Health. I make note of that. I turn my head to Wolfram, and I kind of just quietly meet his eye, and then I look to the elixir, then look back to him as I continue looking around.
I'll pick it up and put it in my satchel, and I kind of look back at Agilus and Bix.
The bastard wouldn't get it for me.
To which Bix grins, his sharp-toothed grin.
I could always use incense if these are ours to obtain now, but I would not deign to take it otherwise. But if we are using these materials, then we could always use more incense.
Oh, as far as I can tell, these goods don't belong to them. Or at least, if I have my way.
Might be useful if we are purifying evil of this place. Take the incense.
Bix leaves and kind of gruffly mutters, "Nothing but a bunch of junk in here."
It's not wrong.
Can Zaid pull on the sconce for fun?
You may pull on the sconce. I like the way you're thinking.
This certainly couldn't be something that would drop the ceiling on us, would it?
Only one way to find out.
Kerclank.
Nothing happens.
Zaid feels let down by his childhood stories. Well, did you want to try and press your luck and go a bit further towards the entrance to see if you could find another means of egress?
I can. While I do so, why don't you take a more thorough look around that storage room, Zaid?
If you say so.
Agilus, if you hear me scream, wait for me to come back through the room, tip over that keg full of noxious-smelling liquid, and light it on fire.
In here? There's no ventilation.
Into the hallway.
Oh, I don't know. All right.
It'll be hilarious.
All right. You can't glean too much more than anyone else, Zaid.
Nolame, would you like to accompany me?
I can. I figured we should have one of us in disguise in here in case someone comes wandering around. We don't want them to look around and the first thing that they see to interact with is someone not in disguise.
That's wise.
Plus, I'm standing next to the candle. That way, in one motion, if we have to dump the flammable liquid, I can just toss it.
If you have an extra disguise, I will don one immediately.
I don't think we do have a third. Mine's mainly a bit of a ranger trick, something I picked up along the way.
Bix had since removed his disguise. and offers it to Coulter.
Ah.
As far as Zaid, you notice that underneath the leaves there are strange dried pods.
I shall collect the pods.
You now have 15 dried pods of a strange plant.
I'll confer with Wolfram about it later.
Putting on the disguise as hastily as I can. So it's a bit loose, but I believe it will work.
Coulter, Wolfram, and Nolame are now in disguise. So, what's the plan exactly? What do you want me to do? I want to kill people.
I know you want to kill people. What I want to do is go look for the people for you to kill. Can you wait here for me, Bix?
He shrugs and nods. He noticeably has slightly less energy than he did when you met.
You feeling all right, Bix?
Well, to be honest, it was a long trek to get here. I just hope I can do my best and die a worthy death. I nearly died myself in that quicksand.
Yes, I remember. Hopefully we all make it out of here alive. You ready, Coulter?
Always.
Everything seems quiet. Though the ground is littered with crooked flagstones and loose rubble, you proceed like a fox. Silent.
Serpentine.
Yes. You're walking carefully and everything seems normal. You kind of notice out of the corner of your eye there was some strange painting, but the graffiti becomes more intense as you near a door. Oh, Coulter, by the way, last night, what kept you asleep for so long was a strange dream. It was more clear than usual. Strange geometric shapes folding in on each other like a tunnel before opening up in a rush. Starlight, the void of space. The horizon of a strange and foreign sun was eclipsed by the silhouette of a massive serpent. You couldn't see its aspect, only its glowing eyes. It didn't say words, but as it hissed, it conveyed meaning to you, begging you to free it. Oh, and you managed to translate the initial owner of your spellbook that you found. It was in coded language. The name is Relic.
Oh, shit.
So that was a fortuitous evening before making my way here. Can I glance at the writing as we go by?
There are some letters that kind of remind you of High Runark, like the old way in writing.
I'm gonna go up to the entranceway.
Very well.
Yeah, I follow him.
It's a circular door set in a square sort of double-door recess. There is almost like a silvery face looking back at you. There's no keyhole or anything in the middle. Sharp fangs fill the mouth that scowls at you. Though when you two get nearer to the door, strange web-like leathery ropes recede from it, as if welcoming you inside.
Put a shudder inside.
I look back towards Coulter and say, shall we?
Follow your lead, Wolfram.
Do you attempt to open the door?
I do.
You're dead.
Hell yeah.
The door opens. You can see in the walkway, the walls are painted with scenes befitting the nature of this temple. Disgusting acts, killing, torture, enslavement, robbery, and unspeakable things. The creeds of the worshippers are all too apparent. Evil is flaunted and lionized. In this room, you hear the chatter of nearby human beings or humanoids, and the smell of food and the clinking of plates. Though your entrance does let in some foreign light, no one, by the sound of their voice, seems to either stop talking or regard you.
I think quickly in my mind as to any information of religious cults that I can use to pretend to know how to act in disguise.
Okay, so you know from your experience, your brief childhood in Gorsad and your experience in the Academy of Natural Philosophy, you've been around children of nobles and luminaries of your age, that whispers of the dead old cult of Zorn comes to your mind. They worshipped evil in a time past. It was a secret society of mostly nobles, so it would be easy to feign a sort of austere countenance or demeanor.
Well, I'm basically following Wolfram's lead, but I'm just relying on the vestments. I just observe if they have their hoods up or not and things like that. Just try to blend in as much as possible.
I'm trying to see Are these pillars here? Yeah, I can see over them.
Correct.
Try to get situational awareness.
If no one has noticed us yet, I'll just sort of be like behind a column or something, just try to like nonchalantly.
Wolfrun, you enter the room like another shadow. There are candles that dance along these shadows and exaggerate them, stretching them wildly. There is such a candle below the precipice of which you stand that kind of paints Coulter's image, at least his shoulder and head, on the far corner of the room there, and this makes one of the cowled cultists at the table down there look up, though he doesn't react more than that. He seems to know you're there, but a conversation between the hooded figures seems to be taking up most of his attention, as well as some parchment on the table. Coulter, you also see that the cultist of the Red Corridor, who escorted you in, has just entered this room.
I pause briefly to see if I can make out anything that they're saying.
You can make out that the word corridor comes up a few times. They seem to be discussing something called the Dark Corridor, and that things aren't going too well in Avandrad. They mentioned Jorah Greencloud. That name was grabbed out of the conversation, kind of made you perk up. There was something about an elf and the Beholder. Eventually, after listening enough, it would seem that they have been discussing the disappearance of members of the Dark Corridor, and that the Beholder is meeting with the Dark One deeper in.
When they mentioned an elf, did they mention a name around it?
No.
They just said an elf, like, was mentioned.
That's one of the words that made you kind of perk up, yeah. You're trying your best to hear. You're really straining yourself. Oh, one last thing. Wolfrun, by the way they're talking to each other, these two groups that are differentiated by their uniforms sort of seem to have this weird tension between them by their body language.
I think we should go back and report to the others what we found.
Coulter's keeping quiet and just nodding towards the door, like, but yeah, I do look towards where I felt some cold briefly and see if I see anything.
It's just a wall.
May I also roll investigation?
Now that you notice what he's looking at and he mentioned it, you peer at the wall. That is a wall.
It's just a wall.
It's just a wall!
There's probably a ventilation duct nearby.
Coulter followed closely behind Wolfram.
Back on in here. There's some sort of meeting room, or right across rather, from the entrance. Several cultists are inside, but from there we could reach deeper levels of the temple.
How do you think we should proceed?
It seems to be the only way through, unless you gentlemen have found anything else.
The door closed now. Nolame looks back to the group and asks, so what is our larger plan now, though? Originally, we were going to have a couple of us sneak inside while a larger force eventually caused a distraction. Now we're all inside, so are we still going with the plan of some people going where the main group are and then a larger force attack from the outside and cause a disturbance? Are we going to try and get in as far as we can silently, or should we just go in loud now? Or should we keep trying to pull one or two of them at a time away from the larger gathering and try and eliminate them quietly? It seems like the original plan might not really be well suited now with smaller numbers.
Indeed, I believe that plan is out the door, so to speak.
Can you give us a description of the layout of the room? Or at least as far as you could get.
It's a typical dining meeting area. Large table in the middle, several chairs, candles, obscene graffiti everywhere. I'm sure you've seen one before.
How many cultists were there in there?
I counted 4. There may have been 5.
Did they all seem like they'd be the same level of difficult to take out, or did one seem to be more of the ringleader?
There was definitely a hierarchy.
Right. So, one, let me just make sure that I understand. Our goal still is to try and get deeper into this place, but as many cultists as we can eliminate now is the goal, rather than trying to scatter them or get by them. Like, eliminating them is something that we're actually looking to do.
It is one way through, yes.
If that's what we're doing, then we should probably try and pull the leader out of the room, with the redundant plan being have at least one person in disguise go in there. And if the leader doesn't get pulled out by the distraction, then the spy would have to take out the leader before things kicked off.
I wonder if we could bring the barrel of oil, dump it into the room, and then light it.
I don't dislike that plan, but I think it would be unwise to cause anything that may alert other cultists deeper into the temple of our presence just yet. Although keep that one up your sleeve.
Are you confident that you can draw the rest of them away?
I believe I may have a story. I informed whichever the one that I believe was to be the leader that there's something wrong with the prisoners I had earlier, that I might be able to bring him back this way.
So my question is, should we keep the barrel here or try to position it closer to the door so that we could cut them off from escaping outside, if it comes to that?
How long do you think the oil would burn for?
It's very viscous. I could see it burning for a long time.
Do you think that Coulter, your owl, could actually serve as a... Here's my thoughts. If we could get 2 of them to run out of there and come in this direction, while we actually have the oil barrel on the west side of the door, once they run past, chasing a shadow or, an owl flying past, but they're not sure what it is, knock the oil barrel over, light it on fire, and then we've separated the 2 of them. And we've seen down here it's basically a dead end, so there's no way for them to loop back around and come and get us.
A braver soul than I, that Thorn.
I'm not exactly subtle myself, and I tend to work best alone, says Blix.
Again, I'd rather not alert anyone deeper in the temple as to our presence just yet.
How many do you think we're dealing with?
Could be hundreds. We don't know.
Aye, best we play this smart then. Oh, by the way, if I make it out of here alive, I want full rights as a citizen of Avandrad.
I don't know. Well, Zaid, you could probably do something about that, couldn't you?
I mean, I'm not a citizen of Avandrad. I could certainly argue on your behalf, but...
Oh, forget it. Just tell me where to swing me hammer.
As soon as I find out, I'll let you know.
Right. What do you all think about this plan, then? Let's go ahead. We'll have Wolfrun and I head in disguise into the main room with the plan that Wolfrun is going to be saying that there's something wrong with the prisoners, saying that to hopefully the leader of their group. If the leader goes out to go ahead and investigate, fantastic. That's the best case scenario. If not, Wolfrun stays next to the leader while at least 1, maybe 2 minions run out. Once the minions run out, we push the oil barrel over, having positioned it to the west side of the door, and set it on fire so they can't make their way back to the main chamber, while at the same time, Zaid and the rest of our more durable companions go ahead and make their way, just charge into the room, with the distraction serving to help me and Wolfrun try and backstab any of the cultists that we're having to stand by in the room. If there's 5 cultists in there, we'd be able to take 2 of them out by me and Wolfrun standing next to them, and then ideally 1 or 2 of them will run out to the initial distraction. So we might be able to secure the room immediately without having to make too much noise other than, well, I guess, how loud would the oil barrel catching on fire be if it's not, exploding because all the oil isn't still in the barrel?
I feel like it might be noticeable.
I have a feeling that charging in and the sounds and din of battle will be louder than the smoldering of the oil.
Indeed.
Seems we have a plan then.
It is a plan.
All right, who's going to help me lift this barrel?